Hi and welcome back, and I'm with Jacqueline Campbell, and well, we've been talking about, well, basically making ourselves redundant.
Why not?
And still earning an income. That sounds fantastic.
Well, that's it. You'd hate to be redundant with no money. There's standards. We need to have some standards here.
I mean, that is the one thing I actually want to do, get redundant and have a cash flow. But the book, the one thing you were saying.
Gary Keller.
Gary Keller.
There you go, Gary. But if you haven't read it, or actually it's on Audible as well.
Oh, right.
So, and I used to read all the time. As awful as it sounds, reading takes up time.
I know, it's very time consuming, isn't it?
But so many excellent books are now on Audible, and you can get your free trial for 30 days, and you can download whatever you want in that time. It's just brilliant.
Yeah.
Or was it one book? No, I think one book comes with it. But anyway, it becomes addictive. And also, what I find is when I'm driving between clients, I can use that time to, I don't know when the last time I had the radio on, but I listen to my podcast and listen to the books and I listen to everything else. Really, as I was saying, before, it's just there's some fantastic titles out there.
When we're talking about this, and I did realise, because we're franchising, and whether you end up franchising or don't franchising, but going through the process, and you start that initial process, and you have to do what's called a disclosure document.
Right.
And part of the question you have to answer in the disclosure document, what are you selling? What is your business? What does it do? What makes it unique? What's the intellectual property?
Why is it not just a renamed version of Muzzbuzz?
Yes.
Yep.
Yep. And all the rest. And so all of a sudden, just having to go through the process starts to re-clarify yourself right from the very beginning. And then you've got to start working out, okay, someone bought this as a business. How do they make money? Is it easy? Is it difficult? Where are the sticking points? Where are the easy points? And all of a sudden you're going, that's really hard to make the money doing it that way. Why am I doing that?
Yeah, and start to challenge your own process. Absolutely.
It's a fantastic process to go through. And then, of course, then you start getting to workflow, which is what you were talking about, which then leads you to an operations manual.
Yahoo.
Which is remembering to take the SD
Card
cards
out
of
the
cameras.
yes.
Me too. We've got SD cards and cameras and Albert R microphone.
It just means that nobody can do anything. I become the bottleneck in my own business, which is completely ridiculous and so frustrating for my team members.
One thing I found really interesting when going through the franchising model, we're going through the process now, and I'd highly recommend, even if you're not going to do it, try it. What it means is when you suddenly go, this is the income level I think you should be able to earn.
Right.
And then work out how long it will take you, physical hours each week, to earn that income.
Okay.
And then ask yourself, are you happy with that?
Just so, set a goal, reverse engineer it slightly, go,
And I find, I'm a big fan of reverse engineering. I'll go, I'm buying that, right.
I just thought I'd get cred points for using it in the interview before you did. So I get it's 1 point to me this week.
Well, you had the one thing. But it is one thing you can do. You can go, okay, what income level? So say you're buying a franchisee, and with 2017, say, well, I would like a franchisee to earn, I don't know, 200,000. Because if you're going to have a business, might as well earn a reasonable amount of money.
Absolutely.
And you go, okay, how many hours or how many clients does he need, and how many clients and how many hours are you going to spend with those clients and processing data?
One really good client.
Yeah, that's great. That you see once a year.
Half an hour over coffee. Got it.
But you suddenly work it back and you can see whether what you're doing is reasonable, unreasonable. I tell you one thing it does tighten up as well is, when I talk cash flow, I mean invoicing. Because when it comes to invoicing, you suddenly realise that, geez, if I don't invoice, I don't earn any money.
You mean if you don't put the SD card, finish the report, then sign it off, and there's a project file done, then the accounts guys can't send out that sort of kind of... Yeah. See, I knew I could always learn from you. A bit guilty. I'm a shocker.
How many times? And then what you start, and it depends what business you're in, because some businesses run credit limits. Now, some people say, oh, well, say you're in a building company. We had a building company. So what I found, because a bit of naivety, you learn as you go, we'd have a building, they'd spin it out, you did subcontract work, so they'd spin it to 50,000, they'd pay 25 of that 50, but they'd have another $50,000 job going on. They were at 75, they'd pay 25 and say, well, finish the first bill, I've got another job for you, look how good we are to you, giving you all this work. but you've suddenly gone from 50 to 100 grand outstandings. And so what it teaches you is credit management, coming back and saying, okay, yeah, not a problem, but your credit limit is 50,000 plus on a bill, if an invoice outgoes past 60 days, you can't have any further credit till that invoice is paid.
But 60 days is a long... If you're paying subcontractors and underneath,
Yeah.
you've got to have a lot of squidgy on top of your business to be able to do that. Yeah.
But I mean, that's an example. But so you go 60 is too long. It should be 30. But no more credit unless that invoice is completely paid. So what it did is it capped. Not only do you have a credit limit cap, it made sure that you can't just keep moving the goalposts. If you don't pay this one completely, we cease working.
We've got something similar in place, which is that our system, which I can completely derail by accident, but our system effectively prevents, if you've got an outstanding invoice, which is more than, because we work on 7 days.
Yeah.
But if it's more than 21 days overdue,
Yeah.
the system says, hang on a minute, and flags it, and we don't release any more reports to that particular client, which is, in a lot of cases, where you've got, you know, the Ma and Pa groups, they've only got one group job with us anyway, so it really doesn't matter. But where it becomes an issue is where we've got real estate agents, and we do a lot of work for a particular real estate agent. Now, the kickback we get from that was, but they're all different jobs, which they are, and they're for different properties, which they are.
Which they are.
And those have their own individual trustee accounts. So the fact that the guys from Malcolm Street have not paid their invoice has no influence over the guys from Surrey, from Surrey Crescent, because, and the real estate agent, we're the real estate agent, so we can't pay an invoice and reclaim it. It has to come from the trust account.
Yeah.
So what we've started putting in place is actually an email confirming the job, and please confirm that there is a liability against such and such trust account. And all of a sudden, there's a lot more invoicing being paid on time.
Wow.
Because they've had to acknowledge that there's a liability against the trust account. If you have a liability against the trust account, it means that that liability must be paid before any other bills. Because what happens with a property, say we've got $1,000 worth of work over a property, and the income on that property is $360 a week, or say $400 a week, then you've got, if there's no money sitting in that trust account, they can't pay the invoice until they've got, obviously, so many weeks have gone past and they've got X number of rental payments.
Right.
But they always take their cut off first.
Yeah.
So be that 12% or whatever else. They'll pay other bills, they'll do whatever else. They may, and we've found a number of times, pay if the owner's got a guaranteed income of whatever. So therefore, you might have $400 being paid off a house, but then the real estate agent gets their cut, the owner gets their cut, which means they're effectively accruing against your bill at maybe $50 or $60 a week on a $1,000 bill. Whereas if you've got a liability acknowledged against the trust, if push comes to shove, we can then, and it all goes to pear-shaped, you can then claim that back against the through the Tenancy Act.
Right.
But it's just that one little sentence in the bottom, and that came from a workflow discussion.
Wow.
With another consultant that we've got, who's gone, well, this is what we do. And I've gone, because we were doing a bit of a switchy, what do you do, what do we do, what can we learn from each other, as you do in any networking group. And I've gone, tell me more about this. And he's gone, well, that's in place because blah, 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 blah. And I've gone, because he does maintenance work. And I've gone, now that's interesting.
Now that is interesting. We'll take a quick break and we'll come back with more little golden gems to securing our money. We'll be right back.